Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents with me, your host, Valerie. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy, including those passing through Austin. We bring you articles and podcasts featuring the best in Austin comedy in all its shapes and formats. Started in 2016, the podcast project brings you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations and will usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene one of the best in the country. Today I sit down with one person for a second time and a second person for the first time. Together they make an amazing and unexpected duo. We'll hear more about that in just a moment. Our returning guest is, everybody knows that I'm a huge fan, super fan, probably overly obnoxious, but he's had such a great year so far already. He's hosting an art show in April. He just released a critically acclaimed self-titled album with his band Paint a Doll, and it was just announced that his movie Boy Band was set to premiere at the Cleveland International Film Festival in April. And a couple of nights ago, no big deal, he helped kick off South by Southwest comedy by interviewing TV host legend and apparently moonwalker Dick Cavett. But we're also joined by his second half for the not to be missed Witch Taint duo. It is a sight to behold. If you can watch one of these experiences, you absolutely must see Witch Taint live. And now Comedy Wham presents our guests for a return visit for Dave Hill and first time visit Phil Costello of Witch Taint. Yay!
Thank you for having me.
Darker than dark. Is that
blacker than black?
Blacker than black.
Blacker than the blackest of the black. Times 50. Yeah.
And I'm catching you as you're later tonight. You'll be doing your Witch Taint performance for South by Southwest.
At the Hideout.
Yeah, at the Hideout, which
I think it'll be our third time.
Third time.
Yeah,
Hideout.
Yeah, because we did Out of Bounds Festival whenever in the fall, I think.
Yeah, at the Spider House, which is a cool venue, and you did South by Southwest with Witch Taint last year, and because I'm super fan, I've seen each iteration and it changes a little bit each time. It's always more interesting each time.
Yeah, we're kind of evolving it.
Mostly they involve cutting things out.
Yeah,
really?
It just gets shorter.
No, we add videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
But we're kind of evolving it.
We're always tweaking it.
Yeah.
For Broadway.
Nice. Off or just off?
Just full on.
Full on. Oh, yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool.
I think a Broadway agent from New York is going to be here tonight.
Really?
No.
You never know.
You almost had him.
His name's Duffman.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about with you, and then we'll talk about how this applies to Witch Taint, is for your first official Comedy Wham interview. One of the reasons that I go back to that interview as one of my favorites is your philosophy was just say yes to everything because you never know where
everything.
Well,
but a lot of things.
And that's taken you some pretty cool places by having that. I guess maybe it's a more open-minded philosophy.
Well, yeah, I think you just kind of do fun stuff and try new things. And I mean, if I hadn't had that attitude, I never would have gotten into comedy in the first place because I never planned on going into. I was never like, I want to get into comedy. It's just that a friend asked me to try this and try that, and then one thing leads to another,
Yeah.
So, I think it's just, just go with the flow.
Yeah.
And you never know.
And you have so many different directions that you go between music, writing, comedy, TV, radio show. It's
yeah. I mean, I think, maybe I'd be better off financially or fame-wise or whatever if I was just like I'm just gonna do this or that, But I'm not really concerned about those things. So, and I just want to have fun and make enough money to hang out and buy guitars.
Yeah.
And he has a huge amount of guitars.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all working out. So, you know, if I were thinking strictly like business wise or whatever, you know, maybe I do. But I'm just looking to enjoy my life and have experiences and enjoy each day and hang out with my dog, and that's all I'm after, really. So for me, it's all going great.
Yeah. Phil, are you tugged in as many different directions? Your background is music.
I'm also primarily probably a musician.
Yeah.
But I've been, whenever Dave needs some kind of, I don't know, some kind of weirdo.
Well, Phil, I mean,
so I was with Dave on The King of Miami.
Okay.
I was his autistic bodyguard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can
known
watch
as
on
Phil.
Hulu.
And I've been with Dave on many a Dave Hill Explosion, which is Dave's show that he started at Upright Citizens Brigade, New York. The first one wasn't there, but that's kind of where it started to he started to do it regularly. So, yeah, I'm on call for any time.
Yeah,
it always leads to adventure.
Well, Phil's hilarious too, and he's got like the best instincts. So it's just kind of, and I think we understand each other like to where we don't really. He's like one of the few people I agree with on most things. There's maybe one or two other people where like we just kind of have the same worldview for the most part.
Yeah.
So,
and when you're doing a partnership, you kind of you need that.
Yeah, and I think when we work together, it's always fun, and with Witch Taint, I initially, I didn't know, when we first started it, it was just like, because it stems from these emails from 14 years ago when people were always like, oh, you should do like a stage show, and I was like, oh, that'll never work, or I was just too busy with other things. Then we finally tried it, and initially, the show's evolved, as you said, but, when it started, I thought, like, oh, we'll just get up and read these emails. So I thought, like, oh, any two people could do it. Like, I don't even have to do it. Just get two people on stage to do it.
Yeah.
And that'll be the show. And I initially thought, like, oh, in New York, Phil will be the other guy. And, like, if I do it somewhere else, I'll get a friend. But the first time Phil did it, I was like, well, he's the fucking guy. Like, no one else can do it now because he's so good at it. Like...
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. And
I spent a total of 3 minutes on YouTube perfecting my Norwegian accent, and it kind of shows. But
that's the magic of it.
Right.
Really,
it's
it's like
magic.
We did the show in Norway, and he's like, we have this like packed theater of people watching Phil pretend to be Norwegian, and they're kind of like clear, like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Dave apologized to the audience for my Norwegian accent that, what did you say, sounded more like a Mexican accent?
Fenris from Darkthrone was in the front row.
Oh my gosh.
Which is like, it's a lot of pressure. And so when I said that, he's like, he sounds more Mexican. But I think that's part of the magic of it, is Phil's Norwegian character in the show travels the globe over the course of the show. He's Indian at one point.
A little Russian.
Yeah, he's kind of...
A little Israeli, maybe.
Yeah, he's globe-trotting Norwegian. So I think it's pretty great. I think it's... But, I think it wouldn't be as good if he had spent longer.
What I try to do is just channel my Dutch relatives. My mom's from Holland, and I'd visit every summer. And even though the Dutch accent is not really a Norwegian accent, that's kind of what I have in my mind. But it still comes out. Many places in the world I've never been. So.
Yeah.
Part of the magic.
Witch Taint, so the origin story is 14 years old, but the idea to start, the very first performance happened in New York.
A little over a year ago, yeah. because when we did South by Southwest last year, it was only the third time we had done it.
That's what I was remembering.
It was, we had done it twice in New York, and then I was asked to come down here and do stand-up, and I was like, oh, could I do this other thing, Witch Taint, one night, and they were into it, and it went great, and it's just been kind of evolving, and I can't remember if I said this already, but, it comes from these emails where I was trying to get signed to a record label, right. Or pretending to, 14 years ago, and just these ridiculous emails. So it's based on that, and but I can't remember because I've talked about it a few times today, and I can't.
Oh,
I can't remember if I've said it already this time. But yeah, but it's fun to change, see where it goes. I mean, we're already going, we're going to London in May. We're going to be at the Wacken Festival in Germany, the biggest heavy metal festival in the world, in August. So, for considering it started a little over a year ago with just the two of us sitting and reading, the emails, nothing more than that. And now we're, already going all over the world with it.
It's pretty
amazing.
amazing.
Recording a lot of music
yeah,
as
we're
well.
Yeah, we're gonna have there'll be a Witch Taint album, which is gonna be actually awesome, and no joke. It's gonna be really good.
It's gonna be real extreme black metal.
Yeah, well,
ooh.
It's gonna be
super catchy. Though
it's gonna be fun.
Extremely catchy.
Yeah, it's gonna be. That's our goal, is to be the
as black death metal is.
Yeah.
So have you been surprised by the fact that just over a year ago you were called up to be the partner, and now it's your texted, and now you're traveling the world?
No, it's fun. I mean, like I said with Dave, it's always an adventure. He'll just text me in more modern years, or call me. I mean, when I did the King of Miami, which is about 10 years ago now on the Mojo network. It was literally, I think, a day or two before he left. They'd already concepted and set up this whole series, and he said, hey, you want to come down to Miami in 2 days? I just want you to stand in the shots and kind of look strange and weird and make people feel uncomfortable. Like, sure. I'm down.
Yeah.
And then it took we're probably down there for 3 weeks to a month or something.
Yeah.
And then, a year later, the show's picked up in the UK. And I get a call from a friend of mine out there. It's like, mate, I just saw you bum on the telly. It's like, it always leads to greatness, no matter what I do. So with Dave,
yeah, he had his ass out on the show. So it's like, but I mean, it's like, I remember when we pitched the show, my friend Elise Roth and I, they're like, oh, do you want to have like a sidekick on the show? And they start tossing around, names or whatever of other, comedians. And I was like, no. This Google Phil Costello. And, the photo comes up and they're like, all right, buy this guy a plane ticket. Because he's, delivers on all, just the visuals enough.
Well, the thing
but
that
he was so great on the show.
What I like about Witch Taint is it's the first time Dave has allowed me to actually say lines.
Yeah.
Usually, I've always prided on myself on being awesome at doing absolutely nothing, except just stand there stone. I mean, I sat through. We would go in King of Miami to kind of unsuspecting interview subjects who didn't really know what was coming.
Oh boy!
And he would ask these people the most just absurd question. And so my job was literally to stand there with a stone-faced and not even have any kind of show any emotion or expression. And so that was pretty hard to do, given how ridiculous some of these interviews that Dave would conduct would be. But then again, I've known Dave for years, and And also when I've done Dave Hill Explosions, I was just kind of the creepy dude that lurked, but I'd never really say much. So now in Witch Taint, I guess I've earned the right to
After how many years of knowing each other?
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, I mean, he's so, it's so, look at the Marx Brothers, or look at, Teller from Penn and Teller, there's power in us.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm really awesome. Like I said.
I mean, the best part is with King of Miami, which is obviously not like a wildly popular show, but it has its fans, and, people will stop me and ask me about it. And they'll always be like, because Phil plays this, like, kind of degenerate, like,
I'm his homeless bodyguard, essentially.
So people assume, that his life is in shambles. And so people are always like, what's going on with Phil? And I'm like, oh, he's well, he lives a couple blocks from me, has a wife and kid. And I'm like, what? Like, he has a life? I'm like, yeah, he probably has a better life than I do, to be honest. And it's because they think he's in, like, a halfway house somewhere. But, so it's always nice how concerned people are.
And the comedy of that dynamic is you're a likable, nice guy, and you're friends with everybody. And then you have Phil that has this persona, the silent persona, so there's comedic value to that dynamic.
Yeah.
And since he yells at me a lot, it was all. I mean, I've known him for. He's like, you can yell at me, say just terrible things to me on camera. It's like, sure, bring it on. But I also play guitar with Dave. I've been playing.
Yeah, we play music
Valley
together
since pretty much the beginning. Yeah. And that's been its own set of super fun adventures. So and then I only live 3 or 4 blocks up from Dave and the city, so I'm there. I'm basically on call when
So are you Lucy? Role. Lucy is Dave's dog. Are you Lucy's babysitter?
He hasn't quite trusted me.
Oh, we're not there yet.
Oh,
first talking and then
that comes further down the line. But Lucy's a wonderful dog for sure.
She's my sweetie.
So you mentioned that we can catch Kings of Miami on Hulu now?
Yeah, it's been on Hulu
Did not know this, because I never watched the original.
Just King of Miami.
Oh, just King of Miami.
But yeah, it's on there. It's on iTunes. It's been on iTunes, for 10 years or whatever.
Okay, well, I'm anti-iTunes, so.
Well, Hulu it up.
All right. Very cool.
It's, I think it's, it's a hidden gem. My favorite, someone wrote me about it once, and they're like, when I first saw this show, I thought it was the worst television show I'd ever seen. And then I stuck with it, and I realized it's the best television show I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yep, that's
what you were going for, huh?
Well, that's just how it works. I mean, I feel like most of what I do ends up having that sort of initially repellent effect. And then if people give it time, they'll be like, oh, it's the best, isn't it? Yeah. I would say it's like heroin. Not that I've done heroin, but I'm told the first time you throw up, and then the second time you're like,
then it gets really
really good.
Your longtime fans of WFMU probably will remember their first time hearing you thinking, I'm going to throw up, but they've stuck with you all these years. Right. You're going into your 4th year.
Yeah, it's been 4 years.
And, Dave has always been just, even before he formally went into comedy, he was always just the funniest guy any of us knew. Back in college, just his humor was so original that it only makes sense that he actually started doing that full time.
Oh,
so it's
thanks. Well, likewise.
I can attest. Thank you.
And you've got the painted doll. Did you work on painted doll at all?
Of painted doll, but
you're stuck on the sidelines for that one.
But I'm, I've had so much fun and Dave's been in many of my bands too, so it's
Wow.
Yeah, there's like a real
there's like a long
there's a
family
crossover
tree.
of everything, And
Can you drop some band names that?
We have a band called Diamond Snake, which I started with Moby, and then we needed a guitar player, so obviously there's Dave.
well, I think what happened, I think it was both ways, with Valley Lodge, because that started as me and John Kimbrough, and then we were trying to put the rest of the band together and asked Phil, I was like, oh, do you know anyone who would want to be in this band? Thinking that he wouldn't want to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right.
And then he was like, I want to be in this band.
Yeah. No, I had never played bass in a band before.
Yeah,
I was primarily a guitarist, and he sent me here's a song. Do you know any bassists? I'm like, I'm gonna be your bassist.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
just gonna make the switch right now.
Yeah, and then
That's
and then
amazing.
sort of similar with Diamond Snake, he emailed me asking if I could recommend any bass players, and I think I suggested a few people, and then he and Moby were like, wait, Dave, why don't you do it? And then so I was bass player, and eventually, in both cases, I switched to guitar, and in Valley Lodge, same
you
thing.
and Moby would trade off guitar. And
Yeah,
bass.
and then in Valley Lodge, same thing happened, is he became the guitar player eventually.
Yeah, then once we got a real bassist involved, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go switch to guitar.
But yeah, we always, play, always kind of in and out of each other's projects and stuff, and who knows, maybe the next Painted Doll happened so fast that it was just me and Chris Reifert. So who knows, maybe the next one Phil will be in on that. I should probably ask him.
The odds are probably pretty good. You want to text him right now
I'll
and
text
ask him?
him.
Yeah.
When we get around to the next record, I'll text him and see what he's up to. But yeah, I mean,
and also Dave first started, I think maybe before any of this. I have a band called Satanicide that kind of was a glam metal type thing that started in the late '90s in New York, and I'd call in Dave when he made up this special character named Peg Romaine Stamos, who was our lovely dancer.
mm-hmm.
And that was just so I don't think I told you, but I was showing, I found some Peg Romaine Stamos videos.
Oh, wow.
That I was showing a few people recently. And it's really, really funny. I mean, he was so funny. Even Satanicide was kind of a partly comedy band. It was kind of comedy meets rock. And then when Dave would come in as Peg Romaine Stamos, sometimes we'd even build a balcony for him if the venue was big enough. So he'd have his own platform and those high heels.
Wow.
And then I have a band called Tragedy, all metal tribute to the Bee Gees, which Dave would come in under the alias Craig Mitchell, and he was basically our personal trainer. So he'd come on in that capacity. And speaking of visual humor, that stuff was all visual humor.
Uh-huh.
Dave didn't say a word as Peg Romaine Stamos or Craig Mitchell, but people would be like, in fact, Moby, I think the night you met Moby was because he came to a Satanicide show, and he's like, who is that guy dancing on the stage with you?
It's true, because he was saying, he came up to me, he's like, what else do you do? Whatever else you do, I want to see it. Just tell me what you're doing.
Wow.
That's how we became friends.
Well, as a super fan, I think I have some new homework now to look into to see if there are any little YouTube videos floating around of this.
We have another band called Children of the Unicorn.
Yeah.
And there might be some good material there too.
Yeah, there's some stuff on YouTube, and then the album's on iTunes, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it's on Spotify. It's probably on iTunes. Like you, I don't go on much. I can't even figure out how to negotiate any of that.
But yeah, that's a cool record.
Wow, that's a lot of music And I'll start wrapping this down because we are facing about a couple of hours before Witch Taint, and I know you need all of those minutes to get ready because it's a spectacle and an amazing experience.
We went to what's it, UT? Is it
yes, it's UT as an alum, and
we went to the baseball game today
with some guy, right?
With Roger Clemens.
Just,
baseball's Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go to a baseball game, go to a baseball game,
of course.
But it sort of took it out of me because I don't like to drink on game day or have beer like when I have a show.
You did.
Well, because we were going with these guys, Roger Clemens baseballs. I don't think he was drinking actually, but the other guys we were with were having beer, so I was like, have some fun at the baseball game, but it just takes it out of me. Now I have to drink some coffee and do some wind sprints and
get ready.
Get in the taint zone, and then we have to put the makeup. It's 2 hours. 2 hours from right now we hit the stage, and hopefully
it'll be great.
I think
I've never been disappointed.
Well, I hope people come, last time there was a line down the block.
I think we're competing with Spielberg tonight, actually.
Fuck Spielberg.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
Spielberg.
The actual Spielberg?
Yeah, there's
or is that an indie rock band?
No, that's actually a good band there. He's premiering his new film. I believe it's tonight.
I think it'll be all right. All we have to do is make sure 100 people don't go to that.
Yeah.
Spielberg's got nothing on this.
Yeah.
Nah.
But
okay, well let me
getting ready to crush.
Yeah. Fantastic. That is a wrap on Comedy Wham presents Witch Taint, composed of Dave Hill and Phil Costello. Tell us where we can find any of your projects, any of your bands on social media or websites.
I mean, for any of my stuff, if you go to my website at davehillonline.com, you could probably find all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So, saying I think via Google, you could look up Satanicide.
Yeah, get Googling. Wasn't it satanicide.net?
It's, I think it's diamondsnake.net might be where, if I've paid the last...
That's always the thing is...
Diamondsnake.net is me and Dave with...
the web fee.
Yeah.
And then Satanicide's out there. And Children of the Unicorn might be a little more obscure, but...
It's out there.
It's definitely there somewhere.
In Witch Taint, if you want the origin story, go to the blackmetaldialogues.com or just Google Witch Taint. You can find it, and then I think we should probably get a Witch Taint website.
Yeah. Although that might be
Just
promoting ourselves,
selling out.
Be against the black metal code.
Maybe somebody could create a fan Witch Taint site that chronicles everything and.
Maybe, yeah.
Follows.
I mean, that's what happened, honestly, with the original, the blackmetaldialogues.com site is... Because when the email started, it was never intended to be shared with anybody, really. I was sending them to my friend John and my friend David, who were the only two guys at the time that I knew who were into black metal. And I just sent it to them, and they started sending it around. And eventually, a friend of David's wanted to make a website of it, and then that one on Gawker, right when it came out, and it kind of went all over.
Did that have anything to do with leading into Metal Grasshopper? Because I know...
partially. I mean, because I think Sean Yseult our friend Sean from White Zombie, and who's married to our friend Chris Lee, they sent the Witch Taint stuff to Phil Anselmo, from Pantera and Down and all that. And we're kind of showing him that, and some other, I do stuff from Metal Injection and stuff like that, and so they sent him that stuff, and he was down with the Taint.
Great web series.
And that's how that came about.
Yeah.
Phil and I doing Metal Grasshopper, which hopefully at some point maybe we'll do some more.
Yeah.
Season 2 when we can both figure out when.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe signal to the Hill people to maybe do that whole Witch Taint website concept.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed learning about how Witch Taint got to be the comedic and musical genius that you heard today, just as much as I have. Be sure to visit ComedyWham.com, give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at ComedyWham, and like our Facebook page. You can listen to past interviews on Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes. Review us while you're at it. This has been Comedy Wham Presents Witch Taint, darkest of the dark, blackest of the black. I'm Valerie.
50.
Yeah.
I'm Valerie, and that's
Whatever
been
else you wanna
funny.
throw in there.
Thank you, Dave and Phil.
Thank
Thank you.